Hey everyone, Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. Thanks for joining me for this Thursday's tip and technique video. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the different inks that Stampin' Up! Has available to us and give you some tips on what you can use to color when you're using these different inks so that you don't end up smearing, especially with the black inks. So to start with, I'm just going to touch base real quick on our classic Stampin' pads. These are a dye-based ink pad. They are acid-free and they are fairly quick drying. And they come in currently 49 different colors. We've got 10 each in our bright, subtle, regal, neutral collections. And then we also have 5 2020 to 2022 in colors available and 4 2019 to 2021 in colors available. For these pads, they work on pretty much any type of paper that we have. If you are using a shinier surface paper, my recommendation is that after you've stamped the image, you use your heat tool just to dry it or set it aside so that it can air dry completely. They tend not to absorb into the paper when it's a shinier surface. And so just a quick way to avoid ruining projects by smearing it because it's not quite dry. If you use your heat tool, that'll take care of it. All of our classic stamping pads do come with ink refills, and I encourage people when they buy the ink pad to go ahead and get a refill so that you can keep the same color intensity going as you're working through it. And then the other thing that you need to know in terms of cleaning these pads, because it's a water-based ink, all you need to do is use one of our chamois cloths and you can rub your stamped image or your stamp right on here, and that will remove the ink for you right away. So that's our classic Stampin' pads. Another ink that I want to touch base on real quick is our Versamark. And when this was introduced to me years ago when I first started stamping, it was strictly to be used as a watermark stamp. We used it for backgrounds on cards all the time. And basically what it will do is give you a tone-on-tone image of whatever stamp that you're using. It'll just pick up the colors and make it a slightly deeper toned of the same color that you're working with. However, another great tool for Versamark is to use it for embossing. It is a thicker ink that takes longer to dry, so it's a perfect thing to do embossing with on your projects. One of the examples that I can give you, and it's a way to tie in any color that you want of the color family that Stampin' Up! Has available, is to stamp a greeting in whatever ink color you want to do. This one was done in Gorgeous Grape for a project I worked on a couple weeks ago. And I used my Stamparatus, so I stamped my thanks in the Gorgeous Grape, cleaned off my stamped image, and then stamped it in the Versamark. And then I was able to put clear embossing powder on there and set it with my heat tool. And what this does is it gives you, between using the Versamark, your colored ink, and your Stamparatus, it gives you the ability to create any embossed image using any of the ink colors that we have available to us through Stampin' Up. So I don't know if you can kind of see the shine on that one, but that was just a quick, easy thing to use. And again, when you use the Stampin' Up, your image, or the Stamparatus, your image is going to line up perfectly on that. All right, that's it for Versamark. These are the two that people have the most questions on. We've got Memento Ink and Stazon Ink. So first I'm going to just touch base on Memento Ink. Memento Ink is a water-based ink, and it's really important when you're going to start coloring projects to know whether you're using a water-based or an alcohol-based ink pad, and I'll explain that as we move forward. But we've got a Memento Ink. I'm using the Tuxedo Black here. This is a dye-based ink, and it will dry quickly. It's also considered acid-free, so it's great if you're doing scrapbooking and don't want to worry about damaging photos or damage to paper down the road, that type of thing. For cleaning, again, you can use the Stampin' Mist. I use my scrub pad for my Memento Ink too. You will get on the photopolymer stamps some discoloration potentially from the black, just like you do with our red inks. But I don't let that bother me. Sometimes it actually helps because I can see the image a little bit better. When you're using Memento Ink, it's a water-based ink, so it's a great ink to use when you're using our stamping blends. And the reason these two go well together is they're opposite in their ink bases. Water-based Stampin' Blends are an alcohol-based pen. So what that means is that when you're using these with the Memento ink, you won't get that grayish smearing of the black ink that you would if you used Stazon. So always be sure that you're using your Stampin' Blends and Memento inks together. The opposite base means that they don't smear or interact with each other. Okay, and then we move on to the Stazon ink. This is everybody's favorite, I think, because probably 99% of us love the smell of Stazon ink. And this is an alcohol-based ink. And because it's an alcohol-based ink, it does dry quicker, but it also can dry out quicker. So it does come with this clear piece that you hang on to. You don't want to discard that when you open the ink up. And that just provides an extra little seal over the ink pad so it doesn't dry out in between uses. Some people have stuck a dimensional or two on the back of this and then to the lid, and so it pulls off with the lid. I've opted not to do that on mine, but I wanted to share that tip with you. And with the Memento, or with the Stazon ink, it is, like I said, an alcohol-based ink. So you would never want to use the Stampin' Blends with the Stazon ink. And the reason for that is the alcohol in the alcohol will cause black ink to smear. So to avoid that, don't use your alcohol. What you can use with our alcohol-based inks are the Stampin' Up markers, the Stampin' Right markers, or your classic Stampin' pads to add color. You can also bring in your ink refills to pull color in as well. So those are kind of the water-based ink products can be used with Stazon for adding color. And when you're using a water-based black, it's perfect for, every time I put that upside down, it's perfect for using with our Stampin' Blend markers, which are an alcohol-based ink. So just a quick run through. One thing I should mention on the Stazon ink is this does require the Stazon ink cleaner that Stampin' Up has available. You also want to avoid using Stazon on photopolymer stamps because it is an alcohol-based ink. It will dry out the photopolymer stamps. If you do it once, don't worry. Just you want to wash it off right away with soap and water. And you wouldn't want to leave the Stazon on there, nor would you want to use the Stazon cleaner on the photopolymer stamps. Again, it can damage the stamps, so you want to just be careful about that. If you do use the Stazon on your photopolymer stamps, it will stain it and they won't come off. It does not ruin the stamp. It does not affect at all how they, the image that they stamp or anything like that, but it will stain it a black, and you'll know immediately when you've done that. So just beware of that. But again, with the cleaning, you do need to use the Stazon cleaner. Once I've used that, I will rub it across my chamois again just to get in the nooks and crannies of all the stamps. But otherwise, the cleaning is the same. So that is a quick rundown of the different types of inks that we have available. I hope that you learned a couple things with this video and that you'll be able to if you've been having problems with your black ink smearing, maybe this will help you understand why it's happening and what you can do to prevent it. So again, Memento ink is a water-based ink, great for using with our alcohol-based Stampin' Blends. Stazon is an alcohol-based paint, so it's ink, not paint. So it's great to use with the Stampin' Right markers or the classic ink pads to avoid any type of smearing. And then we'll real quick bring back in our Versamark, which is great for creating that tone-on-tone look or for doing your embossed images in the different colors that we may not have embossing powders available for. So again, if you have any questions, be sure to leave it in the comments down below and I'll get back to you on that. Otherwise, you can also visit me on my Creative Escape blog at carolscreativeescape.com or on my Facebook page, Carol's Creative Escape Gathering Place. And if you do like the video that you're seeing here, please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave any comments down below, and I'll get back to you. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this tonight, and we'll see you again next Thursday for the next technique and tip class. Thank you. Bye-bye.